In the morning we built the city. In the afternoon walked through its streets. Evening saw us leaving. We wandered through our days as if they would never end. All of us imagined we had endless time to spend. We hardly saw the crossroads and small attention gave to landmarks on the journey from the cradle to the grave. Cradle to the grave.
Everybody, welcome to the Black Country History Hunter. Today is a special one. We're going down to pay our respects to the Glyn Arms, the Sidon House, or if we all know it, the Crooked House. Why am I going there today? I'm standing at the top of Derwent Close now, just waiting for Burt and Alan and Ron to pick us up. Ron knows a bit about Oak Farm as well. It's going to be a walk and talk today. I was going to do it at the time, but I decided to hold fire out of respect, really. A lot of people were on the bandwagon then, you know, all the papers were there and such, and I think they were there for the wrong reasons, many of them. And it shows that because they're gone now. Lots of arguments online, and I see those arguments, I understand those arguments about people not drinking in there, and actually they can't moan now it's gone. For that, I'd say, you know, Stonehenge stopped working 2,000 years ago, but it don't mean you've got to develop it, does it? You know, I believe that our ancestors, granddads, grandfathers, all had memories in there, and even if it was on hard times, it would have pulled out of that, I'm sure. I'm sure. It was such a unique place. If the people during the 1850s, when it first sank, right through to the right through to 2020s can make it work, more so in the early days. They had shadowbang trips to that place. They came to see this amazing crooked pub, the wonkiest pub in Britain. So if that couldn't make it work, it was down to bad management, or it was down to somebody trying to put a spanner in the works. We'll speak about that later as well. That lane leading up caused a lot of problems for that pub. If that pub was on the main road, I guarantee you it would have been a success. A lot of people turned away on purpose, I believe. And next week is Judgment Day. I got the newspaper in my bag, Express and Star. They were given in 2024, mid-2024, they were given so much time. ATE farms were given so much time as an appeal. They put an appeal in, and that time they were going to use to try and find an alternative place or show that argument. But I think it's come to where the people are saying, no, it's got to go back where it came from. So we'll see. In the next few weeks, we'll see. There was a tavern in London, which was knocked down in 2014, I believe. It was back up and running by 2022. So there's actually precedent for it. It's happened before, it can happen again. But we're also going to speak about history. We're going to look at some of the pits, pit number 5, pit number 4, where disasters happened at both. So yeah, some disasters today, so if you're tickle-stomached, probably not the show for you. But I know most of you enjoy that stuff, so we've got to know about it. They're our ancestors, we've got to rejoice in their names. And like the Africans say, this big man, like the Africans say, we've got to say their names, because saying their names often brings them back to life. I think that's true, because even though they're not here anymore, when you say their names, Joshua Hunt, Craig Matthews, John Jones, whatever it might be, Carl Green, Brian Bedard, my father, for that second that you speak their name, they're in your mind, they're in the room, you know. So I do think that's a great way of looking at it. So yeah, let's get down there, enough talking for now, let's go and do some history. Just arrived, guys. Ron's over there with the car with Alan. Before we walk down to the Crooked House itself, I want to quickly show you this beautiful bridge. I just saw some lads on motorbikes there. Would have been horse and trap back in the day when this bridge was working, you know, not motorbikes, horse and trap. Yeah, so this beautiful bridge here, part of the Mineral Railway, the Pensnet line, and it ran up to Straits Green Colliery via a tramway. And you can see here it became the tramway at pit 4A. I'll just show you quickly the architecture in there. Beautiful, beautiful bridge, folks. Look at that. Beautiful 1850s, maybe 1840s architecture. There's no slag in this, I don't think. Normally there's slag in these bridges. So I don't know if this was a later extension. I know the Stourbridge Canal just ended at Oak Farm, just over there at Oak Farm. And that's where the Stourbridge Canal ended. So I think this, maybe 1860s, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see any earlier brickwork in it. Right, let's walk down to Ron now. He was telling us about that line running through there.
Yeah.
So, well, you're telling me just about this line?
Yeah, this line here, this road that was the railway line,
Yes.
is the main line from Bagridge.
Okay.
And it used to come down here, and it would split off. It would go up to Pensnet, and it also used to go under the bridge across Storlings Lane.
Yes.
Am Lane, Storlings
Wow.
Lane, down to Musgrove gas station.
Oh,
There
my
used to
God.
be a gas plant there with the big gasometers and everything when I was a kid.
Wow.
Railway sidings where the bungalows are.
You remember all that?
Yeah, the bridge used to cross the road. I remember them taking the bridge down.
I'll put a picture up for that bridge because I know that bridge
And,
photo. There's the bridge, guys.
Anyway, later on they removed the lines, and this tip, there used to be a quarry,
Okay.
and they quarried the clay from here
The mall.
and took it up to Bagridge in big Euclids. For them that don't know what a Euclid is, it's an earth mover with 4 wheels and a big engine on the back and front for
Huge.
pushing and pulling. It's a huge thing, and it goes up here and it drops it off at the brickworks, which sadly has gone again, I believe. There's just the stack remaining.
Did that
there.
go on, sorry, because it mined all the quarry out, mined all the clay, or because it just failed as a business?
I think it's a matter of cheaper abroad.
Yes,
Again,
often the way,
you
the
know,
way. Obviously, people stopped coming because of this. Now, I think this was all part of the campaign to stop people coming. They wanted to kill this pub, ATE Farms. They wanted to kill it in order to build houses. It was just, this is a strip of land between their 2 properties. In their way, there was a burglary a few years before. Well, not long before the fire. The damage done in that burglary goes well past what you'd do in a burglary. I think that burglary was part of that damage in the property to make it unsuitable for using, to make bring the price down, make it just make it not a business. All this here, motorbikes, scramblers, none of it was stopped, probably encouraged, all in aid. It was a massive, but it was a propaganda thing. It was all about making families feel unsafe, and so many have said online, didn't want to go down there, felt disgusted. Fly tipping, motorbikes, you've heard that, didn't you, Ron?
Yes. You know, it did go down when they opened the tip.
They've had their eyes on that for a long time, but it wasn't small money, was it? It was like 600,000 it was up for sale for. So, nearly £500,000, I think, less than that, nearly £500,000. And I think £250,000 worth of work was done on it, not so long before that, you know. So it's had a lot of work done on it. So the fact that they buy it for all that money and then knock it down, I doubt, what is it, the minerals underneath, or is it worth more as a building site? I don't know.
Well, so I suppose, you know, when houses are fetching so much, you've only got to sell a couple of houses, you've got your money back.
And this would join up the estate, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
in 10 years' time. The portfolio becomes a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
Look at this. I mean, burnt out. It's just done on purpose. It's done to say, don't come down here. Not only that, somehow they've managed to get it to leak onto the road. When we come the other day, it was a torrent of water, making it impassable. Eventually, the strength of this old mill race, which is what it was, we'll talk about that in a minute, this mill race was put in to be powerful to run the mill that was there in the mid-18th century, which it was, Oak Farm Mill. 1765, I think it went in. And that water was meant to be powerful to run the mill. A 14-foot wheel. Now that's another reason why it could have sank, not just mining. This powerful stream, look, it's that powerful, it's not even froze. All this water here seems to be freezing. But yeah, it could easily wash this road away, and I think that's another reason why they've, you know, purposefully allowing this to happen and not even trying to stop it. The power of this river could take this away. Some people online on TikTok were saying, oh, you know, don't worry about it, sort of thing, but I don't know if it's a right of way. Some people here might know, let us know in the comments. But I do know that there is a big fight at the minute in the courts and they want to rebuild it, and it looks like it's happened in London, it can happen here. So it's not out of the question, and I'm sure whoever took the business on afterwards would do well. I'm sure they would be successful because people would come just for the novelty. When I was a lad, this was a beautiful lane, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Flowers. Was that right, Ron?
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was nice in the summer with the dappled shade, you know, and all that. You know, but things change.
Because the courts are saying they need to rebuild it here. ATE Farms are saying it's untenable. They want to make it untenable. And this is one way of doing it. Pulling that in with the digger. This is a mill race. This is powerful. Whether this is where the mill race went underground, I don't know. I don't think it would go underground for this long, but eventually it's already starting to work away at the bank. It will take this path out first, I think, when it does start to work it. Be careful there, Ron, it's really slippy, mate. It's disgusting to see. The other day I come down here, this was a raging torrent. It's a bit lucky today because it's icy. Look at that steam though. Wow. That to me, like I said, you can smell it. That 257 years of oil, sweat, tears. He's just sweating at the ground here. You know, you can smell the industry, the coal, the marl, the clay. This was a beautiful area here. There was a pit here when I was a kid, all woodland and beautiful. Gone. Only in the last 10 years, I think. Sorry, Ron, this is the bridge that ran to Ashwood Basin. So this ran right down to Ashwood Basin and would have been unloaded and loaded onto the Smestow Brook as well by the canal. But these are very early stones. Look, these are hand-hewn mason stone. So this is early. This brickwork here, this could have been come out of Gibbons' forge, you know, a forge in the area. There was a forge down here called Oak Farm Forge. Very early. This could have come from there. This is slag from the kilns, used as building material, common practice. And around the corner you see another reason why this is going to drop down eventually. This was like a waterfall the other day. This was like a waterfall. Look at that. That needs fixing and fast, Ron. So yeah, we're walking down. This was such a beautiful natural area. On my right side now would have been pit number 4. An important pit. See a picture of it here. Pit number 4 went in very early on, became one of the more productive ones. Pit number 1 was over by bottom of Tansy Green. And obviously pits go in looking for the coal deposits or the deepest ones. And they struck gold on number 4. And when you're sinking pits, that ain't too bad. They would have had a few sites that they were looking at, earlier Dudley's agents. 4 and 5 ended up being the money pit. They knew that Bagridge was better, but it was deeper because of the fault. You know, technology moved on. Apparently the Earl and the West Midlands got into deep mining way too late. Yes, we're just walking down now. So many people remember turning this corner and seeing that iconic building, guys. I've got a lovely postcard. I've got so many pictures to show you today, so I'll try and get through as many as I can. There's a beautiful one here of around the turn of the century, and you can see how lopsided the building was by this gentleman standing there. So there we go, look at that. It's like a scene from a Wonderland, but it's not a Wonderland, is it? It's a horrorscape. Again, people said, oh, you know, it weren't making money. It could have easily turned around. The landlord at the end said he was waiting to extend his licence, but he was told that he couldn't because it had been sold, you know, without even being notified, and that it was going to be used for other purposes. He was gutted. He had plans, you know, it was picking up, business was picking up. Giant hogweed. If you want to have any reason why they call it giant hogweed, that's why. That's got to be 6 metres high. That is absolutely massive. But I dare say it looks beautiful in the snow and the frost, but it is deadly. You get that on your skin in the sunlight, mate, you're in trouble. In the late 19th century, where one of the landlords, he was a horrible man by all accounts, you know, name was Tom White, and he actually assaulted a young girl down the bottom of this lane somewhere. He offered her a shilling. He assaulted her. Disgusting man. Didn't get done. You know how it was back then. Kids, well, it's the same there, innit, by the looks of it. The way Starmer's going on with this gang business, you know, you think they still ain't got no rights. But inquiry, free Tommy Robinson, but I know a lot of people are going to hate me for that. But that's how I feel. Right, yeah, the mill race is running by me now, obviously, and I think that's one of the reasons why it subsided. So like I say, it was built in 1765 as a corn mill, and it would have had a beautiful wheel on it. That was all sold. In 1853, you can see a man called Mr. John Cartwright, who owned it at the time. He sold it, and you can see that when it was sold, it had the 14-foot wheel, it had barns, and also facilities for making beer. I think by then they were starting to sell beer to the local miners, and there was a lot of them. So it was doing good business with the miners. It wasn't until later, when it started to sink, that people started coming here from further afield because of the novelty of it sinking. Like I say, it might have sunk because of the subsidence, it might have sunk because of the mill race undermining it as well. But yeah, it became a real novelty, it really did. In 1850, the Earl started mining his coal, because people believe this belonged to him, but it didn't. It belonged to a man called Mr. Glynn. Mr. Glynn's father-in-law was Gladstone, the Prime Minister, well, Chancellor of the Exchequer to Prime Minister. You know, he went through the Egypt crisis in the late 1800s. Very famous. Some people said the best Prime Minister ever had. Now, his son-in-law owned this land, and he owned other land in Wales, and there's another pub called the Glyn Arms down that way. But yeah, it was named Glyn Arms after the Glynn family estate. The locals noted to side the house eventually because of the tipping of it, and it became famous, and people would, like I say, they'd organise trips I've seen, like, you know, right through 1860s, 70s, 80s, 1920s, 30s, men and women on charabancs, on horse and trap. There's one story here, gang of women, they were out on this horse and trap, and there was like 4 of them, and they were like sitting opposite each other, and they had an argument, punched one, punched the other, one punched the other, and then one jumped out the cart, bruised her hip on the wheel, went home and died. So there was a big inquiry, it turned out to be accidental death. The gates are open, I think they're going to be closed after this video if I'm sure what's happened before when I've made videos, it always ends up getting secured, which is a good thing. And there you go, it looks so sad, doesn't it? There's a name for this when there's a view that hasn't been seen, for that view has not been seen for 257 years, and it will not be, hopefully, it won't be seen for 1,000 years again when it's rebuilt. But that's another story. Like I say, this week, we'll find out if it's going to go through or not. Because they won an appeal, the people, ATE Farms won an appeal to give them more time to try and find an excuse or a reason to build it somewhere else, saying it was untenable. But this is still a building for me. When you see this in a minute, there's a cellar here, guys, there's all the foundations, them beautiful buttresses that are still surviving, you know, they put up with all that pain and misery of that digger that day, but you can see the building actually crying. The guy filming it, I don't know why he didn't go over and stop him. I would have been compelled to do something, but that evidence was imperative, and it ended up getting people arrested who needed arresting, really, for the crime. It survived fires, it survived mining subsidence, mill race subsidence, it survived 256 years of World War I, World War II, you name it, it survived it, and then it ended up falling to the most cruel thing. And this footage, you can see it, and that banding, you can see he's hacking away out there. I think that banding is actually the stuff that was put in to help secure it, because there was a period when it was condemned, and it was the Dudley and Wolverhampton breweries, again, that started to do work on it, and they did a lot of work on it. They put a metal umbrella in. That umbrella is either the piece you just seen being knocked down that pulled the building down eventually, but held on for so long, or it's the one from 1904. I can't think which, but there is some banding still left, I think, from 1904 down there, so we'll have a look at that in a second. Look at the frost on there. Bricks still there, guys, you know, they reckon it's all been put to one side, what they need. They must have just got the bits that are part of the old building sort of thing. That's a buttress. That's not been sorted. I was heard it was all in Siptus tins. That is huge pieces of buttress put in to stop the subsidence going any further, I think in the 1860s, 70s. Really early work. It dropped 4 foot apparently. Dropped 4 foot. It's a long way to drop, but it become, like we all know, it become an amazing part of the history of the building, and famous, the wonkiest pub in Britain. Over the back there's another pit, pit number 9, see it on a map here. In 1877, a man called John Massey had an accident there and his head was smashed. So, mining accidents happened all the time, they're very sad. Another man was killed at pit number 9, Tom Smith, he was a stoker. And that was actually at pit number 9 on the bank somewhere in this area. And he was working, he fell between the 2 wagons and was crushed to death, very sad. Very, very sad indeed. Pit number 5, which is where we go, well, we were going to go later, is over the back there. It's the pit next to pit number 4, and it worked with pit number 4. There were lots of accidents there as well. James Brown in 1885 he was crushed by pit coal fall, badly crushed, and died later, I think. So lots of men were crushed by falling coal. I think that's the problem when you're mining deep coal. It's thicker. When you're mining them really small seams, you've not got much above you to fall. But the deeper the coal is, the more chance you've got of getting tons of coal on top of you. They left pillars and stalls to stop the roof coming down, but it weren't always foolproof. Pit props as well, obviously. Pit number 4 was there. This is the bank to pit number 4. And again, another disaster. I'll get these disasters out of the way and then we'll move on to the building. So another disaster in 1877 when 2 men were crushed at pit 4. George Rowley, we'll say their names and we'll remember them, and Enoch Westwood. Okay, Rowley died. Very sad. Very sad. Burt's just looking into the building there now, and we'll have a look at the building. We'll talk a little bit about that. Really old foundation to this. Like I say, the cellar, 1765, guys. Really early cellar this is. Look at these lovely old red stone tiles here. All beautiful building. Cellar there. I'm going to go down there in a second. Beautiful fireplace here. Of course, there was many fires here, but this would have been the fireplace itself. Just nice to see. And again, the cellar underneath. I don't know if that was some sort of system for heating, I don't know. But yeah, here's the plaster, burnt, you know, solid. Beautiful building, Beautiful building, such a shame to see it as it is. But there's a lot more here than I thought. So here we are at the cellar. Let's have a look down. This is, oh no, yeah, beautiful bar here running through. I think that's gas. Again, all struts. You can see how secure it was, because this is still safe, you know. Look at this, guys. This is a bit later. It's not, oh, it's vaulted there. So that easily is 1760s vaulted ceiling. Look at that old chair there. Another painting there, looks a bit more modern. But the funny about these barrels floating around is there was a flood. This was full, but above was also flooded very badly. And the gentleman at the time, he even said like that the barrels were floating everywhere. And it's just weird to see it happening now here. And look at that lovely old safe there. Oh, wow, absolutely phenomenal. Love to see that stuff. Let's have a look over here and see if I can walk around. And we do this for you guys, we do this for you guys. Loads of stuff down here, memorabilia for the Crooked House. Look at that. That's an old gas shade. You know, look at the old switches and stuff. There's enough of this building left to rebuild it. And if none of it's original, at least the cellar is. You know, beautiful cellar. And these lovely old chairs need restoring, really. Oh, the weight in them. They're oak. They're Boston. There's more to this cellar. It goes further down that way, but looks a bit dodgy. And there's another room there that goes underneath there. Wow. This is amazing, folks. Early 1765 vaulted cellar from a mill. An old mill, can you imagine? You know, the memories down here. There's apparently a ghost, isn't there, that haunts this place, called Polly. And obviously Polly must have been a waitress or something, but she's supposed to be a young girl, and she's seen in the window sometimes with a candle. But I think about Polly now. Beautiful old oak table again. It's all here, guys, it's all here. This needs rebuilding. If I can get round here without dying. Look at them old till receipts there, look. The business they should have done. Never got the chance, and an old till there as well. Through there, look. There's another area. Vaulted. Old vaulted ceiling. Old again. Full of rubble, that one is though, in a different way. And again, that goes through there into a doorway. I'd love to see more through there, but I ain't going to risk it today. Right, so out we come. Oh, right. But did you see that then? That was the cellar of the Crooked House. 1765. It took my breath away just seeing it. Beautiful vaulted ceiling. You never see them from this side. Nice to see. Look at this photo, Burt. Bring it in. Was this the guy that ran the pub? Hey, does anybody know? If I know, I'll find out and put it up for you now. But that was a bloody old frame by the looks of it. Well, if it happened in London, why can't it happen here? Get that road cleaned up. Get this done. This would become world famous again. Another thing that happened here in 1910, Mr. Glaze, who was running it, some lads come down and they wanted to get in and they couldn't get in. They started to fight. Edwards brothers, we all know an Edwards. But anyway, they all come down and they wanted to get in, and then Mr. Glaze said, no, you ain't coming in. They were drunk and they said, come on, I'll fight you. They took the jacket off and they wanted to fight him, you know, the Edward brothers. And anyway, the bloke were having none of it, and the copper come and they wanted to fight the copper and all. So he's, you know, come on, I'll fight you. But the copper just said he arrested him, you know, for unsightly behaviour. But yeah, it happened a lot. Lots of tragedies here, lots of memories, families. Tell us your memories in the comments. What do you remember of the Crooked House? Do you remember coming here for a drink as a child, as an adult, with your grandma? I'd love to hear your memories. Do you think it should be rebuilt? I see both sides of the argument. I've had people come to me and say it shouldn't be rebuilt, it wasn't working at the time. But to that I'd say this: if it's rebuilt, it would become the biggest draw in the world for tilted houses. I'll say that. People will come far and wide to see the house that was rebuilt and rebuilt crooked. But I just want to give you a good idea of what's here. So, as you can see, lots of brickwork still left. You know, this would have been, I imagine, outbuildings. But they really went to town on it. Some beautiful benches still left. Hopefully one day we can have a drink here again. There's a drink on there, so I'm going to toast now. We will drink here again, guys. So I'm going to toast to all the people that lost their lives in the vicinity. So all those people that drank in here, lived here, died here. See you guys.
The Jews, they crucified him and nailed him to a tree. Mary stood a weeping, Mary stood a weeping, Mary stood a weeping. see the Lord a bleeding. Then Joseph to beg the body, Joseph to beg the body, Joseph begged the body, man laid it in a tomb. Came down then an angel, came down then an angel, came down then an angel, and rolled away the stone. And then up arose the Saviour, then up arose the Saviour, then up arose the Saviour, to conquer death and hell.
Now this bank here was part of pit bank number 4, and you can imagine over the years people have threw bottles in there, and Burt's finding a few now. These sorts of places behind pubs are always great places to look for bottles and stuff, so you can see straight away a jam jar, because obviously it's a pub and it's the sort of place, this bank is probably full of them. This may just be where they're throwing them from the pub. There's a ginger jar. Let's have a look, Burt. Oh, look at that medicine, that's lovely. Wow, that's about 1950s, that one. What's the one in your hand? Look at that, that's still got the mark on it. Oh, wow. Lovely old sauce. Beautiful. Look at that, guys. This was all used by people who lived here, maybe Mr. Glaze, maybe Mr. Green. Cod bottles everywhere, folks. This bank, absolutely full of them. That's slag. That's slag from pit number 4. This is pit number 4 slag heap. Them trees in it have got to be 100 years old. So this is this would have been straight to the floor. This is built up with rubbish. So, and these trees have got to be 60 years old. So you can only imagine what rubbish is in here. Tons and tons of cods, man. Tons and tons of cods. History of the Black Country. All there to be found. But, like I say, this is going to be rebuilt, hopefully. And hopefully rebuilt with that history still there. Leave it there. You know, it's so tempting to dig it, but it's not for us to do. It's so misty and foggy. These are all London bricks, called the London Brick Company. You'll find them in bomb shelters all over the country. And after the war, there was a massive surplus of them. No point winding down the company. Also, there was a big rebuild effort. So they were wanted and needed. But they're the buttresses, and all that amazing brickwork still there. And those beautiful buttresses there. But yeah, Ron's having a look in the garden there. It's all here, folks. Hopefully going to be rebuilt soon, thanks to the amazing group. Let's rebuild it now, which it shouldn't have to have happened. It shouldn't have happened. You know, there's a few people, 6 people got arrested. A few people really should be very ashamed of themselves. You know, they don't give things a second thought, do they? Just because they own it. And you might say they own it, they can do what they want. But this belongs to the people. This belongs to the Black Country people. This is their heritage. It's the most important thing an area can have. If you lose your roots, you're just flailing around in the wind. You've got nothing without your roots. Families like the Mann family in Tipton are bringing it back like the Tilted Barrel. If you can go in the Tilted Barrel and have a drink, do it. Support them, because they're doing a great job. Support them, guys. Really do support them. Or anywhere that's a pub, that's heritage, that's doing their best to stay open for the community, go and support them, because otherwise they'll end up like this. Hello? Is that somebody's loved one come to say hello, maybe? He's a beauty. Absolute beauty. Oh, how about that? That's somebody's loved one at home, guys. Message if you know who it is. Somebody come to visit you. Somebody come to say hello. Wow. Absolutely amazing. I think he knows he's being filmed. What a beautiful robin. Absolute.
How about this bird?
What you got there, matey?
Clock this man. You need a keen eye out to find it, but look, see all the bricks there.
Aw.
Yeah? Have a look, right? See the whitewash on some?
Yes.
Look, now there's a black.
Oh,
Looks like the top of an S.
You reckon?
Sign written Banks's probably.
You reckon that's it's got to be in it, or a B or something?
Like
There's another one over there, look.
Oh yeah. Oh God, oh.
a bit of ingenuity.
On a London brick, so that's World War II that was up, so that sign dates that sign to about World War II, prior or after.
Somebody's tried to resalvage the name, eh? They also.
Well, I think they've just been messing about with the bricks, but
yeah,
I think that's wrong out, but you could definitely get it going. If you was to look through all of these, you'd probably get the sign up and running. I think that's what they've done. They've got the sign bricks up together, ain't they?
Yes, that is.
This has got to be put back together at some point, so I don't know what it's doing out here. It should be in them tins up the top there. But anyway, there was a well here somewhere, or a pump for water, and the gentleman living here in the 40s, Mr. Green, was actually using the water for washing the glasses out and for his own water for tea and stuff. And in the end, the council, Staffordshire Council, got involved, or Seasden Council got involved and said they couldn't shut the pub, but they wanted him to start using tap water. You've got to remember, there was no electric in here until the 1950s. You know, it was an old-fashioned pub. We would have been using Victorian things, boilers, gas lamps. You know, it might have had gas, probably lots of gas due to the coal mine around here. You know, I bet they had their own gas. I know they had their own mine. When it was sold in 1854, it was sold with the mineral rights to the old farm colliery, which is on the map here, right next to what this was. Right next to this itself. So yeah, it was sold with the mineral rights to dig it if they wished. But yeah, there you go. The floors are still here, the cellars are still here, it's all still here, guys. There's a bit of a good foundation to start building on. Another one, there's so much to talk about, I don't really want to finish, but look at that beautiful bit of ironwork there, probably round oak, rolled at round oak or Swindon, Baldwin's, where my granddad used to work. You can see how that building's tried to survive, but it's just been pulled out. 1909, I think, it might be late to 1950s, but I think it's a 1909 attempt to stop it from falling any further. Again, some of the plaster there still on the wall. Just so sad to see it crying out, really. It's crying out to be saved, and I hope it will be. Buttresses weren't on this side because it was dropping that side. 4 foot it fell, folks, into the mill race or into the pit, whichever it might be. I suspect it's a mill race personally because of the power of that brook, the Straits Brook. Lads, you ready?
Yeah, Mr. T, look.
Oh my God. He got on his head.
Yeah, but I ain't got no plane.
You know what? We always have a laugh, man. We always have a laugh. I can't wait to the comments of this video to see what you all feel. I imagine the majority are going to say it needs rebuilding and what happened was disgusting, but you're always going to get the odd one that thinks it weren't being used, the guy owns it, do what he wants with it, he's paid $250,000 or $500,000. I don't know. It's a difficult one. Aye. Alan's a joker. Right. So we're walking down. We're walking away. How many times have we walked down here, Burt, mate? How about that? It was 2 weeks before we was here having a drink. We was even joking about how quiet it was, you know, and thinking this sort of place could never shut because of its iconicness. And then we'll turn around and say goodbye to the iconic pub, and hopefully in a week's time there'll be a judgment to say that it's going back up and it must be rebuilt. One thing I find sad is Biffa, the people that own it, I believe, or some of the people that own it. I know it's ATE Farms and also ATE Hire, where the digger came from. I ain't going to get too much into that because it's an ongoing court case, but this is full of bottles of water and stuff from the protesters. And it's a Biffa one, so I wonder if they provided that. Maybe it was part of the stipulations. Your mess. Clean it up. That Robin's definitely following me. Us, should I say. We've all lost people, all watching this stream now. We're walking up now to pit 20. It's an area that's liable to floods, and it says that on the map clearly. And they should have known this, but the coal's there and they want to dig it regardless of the water. So the miners' lives were ones that were put at risk. And I think it's 1910. 3 men were down there drilling the wall. They were basically looking to release water that was in a separate pit, knowing it was a danger. They checked it and they thought the height weren't high enough to be a problem, and they were digging into this soft bank with a bar. Suddenly there was an inrush of water. The 3 men, Evans, Hunt, and I forget the last name of the last man, but the 3 men were washed into the sump, which is at the bottom of one of the shafts, and it's where the water goes basically. So you have them in cellars and stuff. It's just a place where the water can go when there's nowhere else to go, like, you know, a drain. So it's a deep hole, 13, 18 foot deep, and they were pushed to the bottom of that. Can you imagine, like washed around in the water? No idea which way's up or down. 2 of them managed to escape to the top. They climbed one of the guide ropes to find the level of the pit, and then they were taken up in a water bucket. But the one guy, Mr. Hunt, sadly died. He was drowned, pulled his body up dead. Very sad. That Robin's still here. There he is. Maybe that's Mr. Hunt come to visit. I don't know, but there's a robin there, look. Beautiful bird. And he's literally following us. There he is. So he's very inquisitive. That could be Mr. Hunt paying us a visit, because today we're remembering him, you know, and he's probably saying thank you. Like I said earlier, you speak the names and they're brought back to life. Another thing that's interesting, as we walk up, we're going to go up to it now, Askew Bridge, or Haskew Bridge as it was known in the 1620s. Again, I think it was liable to floods. Dudley actually had a forge here, but he was ahead of his time and people were against him because of his advancements. He was apparently making iron in tonnage that was cheaper than what anybody else could make. So they destroyed his bellows, his big leather bellows, you know. 1620 they destroyed him, and another time it washed away in a flood. And like I say, this road has been made untenable on purpose. They want to make it untenable, and they're doing it even to this point now. Let's look at this stream quickly. Lovely. How beautiful is that? So powerful. Nature. Full of hogweed. Just remember that. And this stream here has been like frozen what's come onto the path. That's going to, whatever brickwork it's in there is going to freeze, break apart. When it thaws, a bit more of the road will break away. And like I said, they want this to become untenable. If the road washes away, the cost then will be phenomenal. Not even they could afford it. Who's going to foot the bill? They're supposed to foot the bill, but there's ways around it. There always is. And they could say they have the right to do what they wanted. And the council looks dodgy with the council as well, folks, don't forget. Because at the end, the council said they can knock it down to one level. You know, the police suddenly pulled out one day before, or on the morning that it was knocked down, the police pulled out. Like, what a coincidence. I know not all councillors are bent, but I don't know, it worries me. I really think there's more to this story than meets the eye, and important people, important players, money gets changed hands. Oh, nobody will notice. 88 Farms had done this before. Down south they had another building that disappeared, you know, suddenly set on fire. So it was they had form. But obviously it hits a nerve because we've been watching our industrial heritage disappear now for the last 10, 15 years. It's been trod on, you know, roughshod. The beautiful Glyn Arms, guys. Let's look at some photos now. So some lovely postcards here. The interior, that lovely clock there, that went missing apparently before the fire. So yeah, the fire happened and a few days later it was knocked down, but very sad, it wasn't meant to be knocked down. There was no order given to knock it down, but there was an order from the council to knock down one floor to make it safe. Now, if you accidentally knock it all down, then that's another thing. But if you look at the pictures, mate, he ain't trying to knock one floor down, he's trying to get the lot. Them buttresses would have held that up easily. That lump of earth there was sadly there, and the firemen, God bless them, they rolled out 1,000-footer hose to get to the building. But if they could have got the engine down there, they could have had 6 hoses on it rather than one long one. Who knows, they could have saved it, man. And this horrible fly tipping, mostly people have done bathrooms and fitted bathrooms and just dumped all the rubbish here and tried to burn the evidence, look. But if it's private land and the owners don't mind, they'll say, yeah, tip it here. You know, don't let nobody know I've said that. Tip it here, it's unsightly. You don't want to bring your kids down here. You know, you don't know what's down here. You know, really don't, mate. You don't know what's down here, so you don't want to bring your kids here. And that's what they wanted. They wanted an unsightly place, and they've got it, mate. I don't know how they deal with that, because this is I think they own this land, that's a problem. Getting down to the Crooked House is going to be a problem. They might have to fence it off, you know, proper high fences, and get some sort of gate at the top. I don't know. Some way of isolating this path to the Crooked House and making it safe again, making it viable. Flowers all along the edge. Driving to the cider house was a pleasure. Driving to the Crooked House was a pleasure. When I was a kid, windows down, music playing, dad driving. Ah, beautiful, man. What a memory. And look at what's happened to it. What have we done, man? What's happening to this generation? What are we allowing to happen? Huh? Because nothing happens unless we allow it. You know that, don't you? Nothing can do anything to you unless you allow them to. That's the same in life, it's the same with anything, and we've allowed this to happen. We've stood by as a nation for way too long and done nothing. And the group Save the Crooked House, Rebuild It are doing something, so if you can do anything off this video, join that group. Right, so here we are, right at the bottom now. Askew Bridge was there, where the famous forger Dudley's was. Behind me there was the fateful pit number 20 where Mr Hunt lost his life. And over there is pit 4A. It's a little bit slippy, so I think we're going to leave it here. Thanks for watching, guys. There's the famous sign, the Crooked House. You know? So sad. There you go. They want this, they've got it down. They wanted it down, they've got it down. Now the case is we've got to get it back up. We've got to get it back up, man. And when it's up, we'll all come down for a drink. Like me and Burt did a few weeks before it was down. We'll have a pint down here It's really cold, but we've had a great day. You enjoyed yourself, Burt?
Yep.
Enjoyed it, Al? Great stuff, Ron. Great stuff, guys. Black Country History Hunter. Like, subscribe. Don't forget, check out the TikTok. Check out the Facebook group. We're always talking about stuff on there. I hope we've left it long enough now to talk about this respectfully. But yeah, here we are. Crooked house, man. So sad. Love it, guys. Get it rebuilt.
Over yonder's a park which has newly begun. All bells in paradise I heard them ring. Bits gold on the outside and silver within. And I love sweet Jesus above everything. Man did not park, there stands a hall. All bells in paradise I heard them ring, which is carved all over with the purple and pall. And I love sweet Jesus above everything. And in that hall there stands a bed, all bells in paradise I heard them ring, which is hung all around with silk curtains so red. And I love sweet Jesus above everything. And in that bed there lies a knight, all bells in paradise I heard them ring. Those wounds they do bleed by the day, by the night. And I love sweet Jesus above everything. Oh, at that bedside there lies a stone, all bells in paradise I heard them ring, which is our blessed Virgin Mary then kneeling on. Oh, and I love sweet Jesus above everything. Oh, at that bed's foot there lies a hound, all bells in paradise I heard them ring, which is licking the blood as it daily runs down. And I love sweet Jesus above everything. Oh, at that bed's head there grows a thorn, all bells in paradise I heard them ring, which has never so blossomed since Christ he was born. And I love sweet Jesus above everything.